Off or on, or as Chewbacca would say. Hey, Damon DeMarco here for CreateX3.com. Thank you so much for coming. This video is probably going to be a bit out there for some people. Today, I'm responding to a message from nobody. Now that's a paradox right there. Nobody asked me, and yet I'm going to tell you about it. This is my writing routine, nobody. This is what I do every day. There's a huge community of people out there who believe that our thoughts are making reality all the time. And actually, I think anybody can argue that that's true, but the degree of power that I and other people ascribe to this constant thinking might be a little higher than the ones that other people use. For instance, all these people who talk about law of attraction and manifestation and things like that, I think, again, they're all saying pretty much the same thing. They might quibble over whether, Abraham Hicks calls it the vortex and source and stuff like that. Great, she has a vocabulary around that, and thank you for giving us a vocabulary so that we can discuss this stuff. But the vocabulary is not the thing. I agree with a lot of the principles that you'll hear people like Joe Dispenza say, and I agree with what Neville Goddard, who is kind of a religious interpreter of the same creationism, I think they're saying the same thing. We're creating everything all the time, all the time, all the time. We're just unconscious that we're creating it all the time because we've been trained not to think that way from an early age. At what age they kind of twisted the nozzle and started shutting that down and telling you, well, it's probably more productive if you go over here. That's a totally different thing for everybody. But if you're human, you're creative. Knowing the power of thoughts and getting to know them more and more throughout the course of our lives leads to some really, really cool stuff. The juiciness of like, wow, it's real, whatever this thing is, this idea that we can put things out there and it will come back to us without fail, whether we're conscious of doing it or not. So the exercise that I have today, this is going to answer nobody's question. What do I do every morning? Well, I sit and I meditate for about 20 minutes, sometimes it goes to 30. And then what I do is I go straight to a typewriter and I sit with it for a little while. What am I doing? I'm looking at the typewriter. I'm realizing that this was made by somebody. It began as an idea in their head, and then they made this so that I could take the ideas in my head and put them onto a blank piece of paper and share them with people. I get really relaxed. Ray Bradbury said, work, don't think, relax. He also said, quote, in real life, as we know, the failure to relax a particular tension can lead to madness. Ray. And then he wrote, quote, life should be touched, not strangled. You've got to relax, let it happen at times, and at others, move forward with it. He's basically saying you got to relax. And when we relax, the brainwave people will tell us that we go from beta level vibrations to alpha, which is a lower degree of hertz. And so it is a smoother ride. It is a daydream ride. It is a place where the creative brain begins to say, what, we had some problems? I can work on that for you. Not a problem. Let's do it. And if you're really, really relaxed, you can go below that and you can get into what they call theta waves, which are right above delta. And they are dripping with the syrup of loveliness. Everything is slowed down enough that there can be great inspiration that happens in the volcanic magnetic center of the unconscious. All these resources that are dwelling in the unconscious and largely untapped unless we begin to tap them, begin to come up through the crack. And they begin to change things by animating us. There's nothing mystical to this. If I get an idea in my head and I go and I write the thing down and I physicalized it, right, well, then I've honored the urge. That's all I'm talking about here is inspiration. You could make it mythological, you could call it poetic, you can make it religious if you want to by naming certain things in certain ways and bowing at this point to, I don't know. It's all the same thing. Scientists are telling us it's the same thing. It's called neurons. They fire, there's like 89 billion of them in the human brain, and they fire at a certain regulated pace. And in fight or flight circumstances, the amygdala takes over and it begins to choke off the brain, and puts the oxygen and the blood flow, shunts it down so that the body can take care of itself. But that's not going to solve a problem that you have with the world in general. It's only when we relax and allow things to flow up that things begin to make a lot more sense. For years, I would sit down at a typewriter and I would do the Julia Cameron exercises, which she calls morning pages, and it's whatever comes to your mind you put down onto the page. And for years what came up was a lot of negativity. I mean, a lot of negativity. Too much for me to deal with, frankly, about old grudges and about old ideas and all sorts of things. I just haven't dealt with them, And I had gotten to the point with that work that I literally said, I can't do this anymore. it's too much for me. And then of course I went back to it later on and I had a different relationship with it. I guess what I'm trying to say is this is the opposite of morning pages. Set a timer for this exercise. Let it run 20 minutes. It's not too much to ask. Just relax. Just relax. And when you think you've relaxed, try and relax some more, because you can. Then look at this piece of paper in the typewriter. Just look at it. It's clean. It's blank. It's ready to take whatever you want to give it. Realize that the typewriter is waiting for you to tell it something. The typewriter, like our minds, will accept anything. It's not going to make any judgment call on us. It will literally set down all the things that we put into it, every single one of them. What it's waiting for us to do is make a choice. So the question becomes, what are you going to give it? Think about that. Just sit there and monitor what comes up as you look at the blank page. Thoughts are going to come up. They do. You cannot stop thinking. None of us can. That's what our minds do, our brains. They're constantly firing with thoughts until we train them not to, which is a subject for another time. Allow yourself the interval to sit with this thought that has just come up. It's like you're meditating, but your eyes are open. And as you're sitting with the thought, you unpack it, sort it out, and you ask yourself, is there any part of this thought that is good or was founded in something worthwhile? Just kind of lay it out on the tool bench right in front of you right there. And then if you find something, you can hold on to that piece of it. And if it's really, really, really good, if it like kind of sparks you, then I want you to write them down. The ones that make you just light up. I don't know what it is for you, but you'll know. And when that hits you, type it up. Tick-tack, 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 ting. I am thrilled to be a part of my family. I am thrilled to make a damn good living doing exactly what I want to do. I am so glad that I finally figured out that problem. I love helping my friends launch their businesses. I really like spending quality time with my son. Only write down the things that make you smile. Pay attention to those things. If it's negative, don't write it down. Don't give life to. Acknowledge it, but don't say that I got to be part of it. The trick to working with negative thinking is that you've kind of got to become aware of it before you can then move past it. And there are stages of attempting to move past it in there that can be painful, frankly. If it comes up again, and it probably will come up again a couple more times trying to get your attention, treat it the same way, lovingly. It's there for a reason, but it's not something that you want to write down in the book. This particular book that you're making, which is the book of yourself. Why does it work? And how does it work? I mean, this is where the science comes in. None of us have a big enough brain to wrap around the entire environment. We're only paying attention to so much at a certain period of time. Human eyes can only see like 0.00001% of the light spectrum, and our ears can only pick up approximately the same range in terms of hertz. So we are not seeing or hearing everything. We just think that we are, because we have a limited set of inputs. So the output then, I feel, can be created sort of ahead of time by pre-casting the idea in the head as if it's already happened. It's just habit, I think, honestly. It's like when we were kids, it was A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. It's in there. It's sank in there to the point where we just assume that it's there. Well, many of the other things that we probably walk around with, we just assume are there because somebody put them there. The world does not have to be the way that it is. It's simply this way because we have kind of all agreed that it's this way. So this exercise is about daydreaming your way into the world that you want to be a part of, that you want to participate in, that you want to create, because you can. You just can. The goal of the exercise is not to just get up and say, everything is wonderful. The goal of the exercise is to cause aspirations. The goal is to crystallize these ideas in your mind about how they're going to be and realize you're going to have to work to get there. But now you have a plan to get there. So that's a totally, totally different thing. And one that I hope makes you feel pretty good. And one that you should write down on your typewriter, because that was a really good thought. And I like the idea of keeping that thought with me all throughout the day, don't you? That's a good thought. That's a great thought. I like that thought a lot. So getting into this mode, nobody, is a good thing to do. I think it's good for creative people especially, but I also feel that it is applicable to anyone who really wants to kind of take a little bit more control of their lives. One thing that I think that you should do when doing this exercise, when you're daydreaming, don't limit yourself in any way. That's not the point of a daydream. The daydream is supposed to be the stuff that we're telling ourselves we can't do or have that we shove down. So if you open that door, that's going to be something really, really awesome from deep within you. And so if it says something wild, like I want to go out and I want to eat 20 cases of strawberry Pop-Tarts, you'd be like, that's great, that's fantastic, go for it. Kind of develop a relationship with the urge, because that's part of you too. So it doesn't make any sense to limit ourselves, like zero. All that limiting stuff is really the analytical mind inserting itself between the conscious mind, right, and the unconscious mind. So as we feel and hear and see and experience things that are just fantastic, we naturally shut them down. Many of us do, because what happens is we don't want to experience something so wonderful we wouldn't know what life would be like if we actually started to experience something completely wonderful. Shut that down quickly. Let's have some rules for that. That's a natural instinct. But you might want to loosen up on that one, because probably everything is pretty cool, no matter what. So don't limit yourself. Relax. Don't push. And if it feels too scary, whatever it is that you're working on through the typewriter, back off. Observe it. Observe it. Maybe you'll write about it the next day. If it has revealed itself to you to be disturbing in some way, then it has revealed itself to you. And now you can make friends with it. Now you can start to look at it and you can start to say things like, who are you? What are you doing here? Oh, that's what you're doing here. That's awesome. Thank you. Or, I don't need that right now. You know, thank you. Not a part of what I think I need right now. The point is, you have the option. You do. You get to type what you want. Another thing you can do when you're doing this exercise at the typewriter, you can put yourself in the environment that you're thinking about. You can. It's wild. Just go there in your mind. If you're imagining the place in your mind, and we know that the mind is just a bunch of chemical synapses bursting back and forth, they're essentially, right now, you're mentally replicating the physical state that you want to be in. Well, if you can mentally replicate it without having to be there, why do you need to be there? You don't. We don't. We can give ourselves whatever experience we want to have. So, think about the place that you want to be. Think about who's there with you and how that makes you feel. Think about laughing. You're there. Now type all that up. Be as clear and as detailed as you can in your imagination, and I don't know, suddenly strange things start to happen. If you'll start to notice, what do they call them? Synchronicities. You'll be thinking about somebody and then they'll call, that kind of thing. You'll say, I really need this, or I'd really love to have that right now, or wow, it feels really great to have that, and boom, it's taken care of. They're gonna happen anyway. You're either conscious of it, this thing that I'm talking about, or you're unconscious of it. The more you become conscious of it, then you have a bit more ability to not write something onto the typewriter. Strange thought, bad thought. Makes me feel uncomfortable. Don't like it. Don't want to put that on the typewriter. Look, if life makes us feel uncomfortable, that's going to happen. However, we don't have to be the authors of it, is what I guess I'm trying to say. Do you see the difference? We don't have to stamp that down onto our page for somebody else to read. That's one of the reasons why I like typewriters. There is absolutely no barrier between you and this machine. The machine will only do what you tell it to do. It wants to help. It will function ably, like a good little soldier. But at the end of the day, it's saying, you're in charge, boss. You tell me what you want. That's the magic to me of a typewriter. It has no other power than that which animates us. It has no other power than that which animates us. Therefore, if a God is over us, however you conceive that to be, when one sits down at a typewriter, they too are gods. I don't get that from my Apple computer. I never got it from a PC. Try this exercise. 20 minutes a day to start. Do the 30-day challenge. If you can't do it for 30 days, that's an issue in itself. That might want to be explored. If you do it for 30 days and you say, it's just not for me, I totally get that. But if you do it for 30 days and you feel that this is in some way helpful for you, well, then it is entirely up to you to continue if you wish to do so. And now you know how I feel about it. Okay. If it takes, it's going to take. If it doesn't take, it is not not going to take. So don't worry about that. You don't have to try and make it do anything. If it works for you, it begins to work for you, and you know the value of it. Questions, comments, subscriber thing, hit the bell, please. That would be great. That would encourage me to keep making more of these. Damon DeMarco here for CreateX3.com. Go to CreateX3.com, subscribe to our newsletter. Thanks for watching. Stay happy, stay healthy, and stay creative.